Technology. The art of applying scientific knowledge for practical purposes, or in other words, humanity's methods of solving problems. And just as an organism's evolutionary traits reflect its environment, a world's technologies reflect the challenges and world its inhabitants face and are forced to adapt to. This makes technology an extremely powerful tool for the art of world building in fictional universes. In this video, we'll be discussing how Mobile Suit Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans, Mobile Suit Gundam Witch from Mercury, and Pacific Rim employ mechanical design to help illustrate the worlds that their characters reside in. Mobile Suit Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans, the 14th mainline entry in the long-running Gundam series, yet it still manages its own unique designs. Iron-Blooded Orphans excellently employs their unique mechanical design in mobile suits and technology to convey the conflicts that forge the world that we see in the show. Now, one thing to point out is that although Iron-Blooded Orphans is a Gundam show, it does not take place in the primary timeline of the Universal Century. This means that it has to introduce its viewers to a new world that is different from what they've been used to. The Iron-Blooded Orphans timeline is based around the events of the Calamity War, which took place over 300 years before the events of the show. This war is so central to the timeline that the timeline and its calendar are referred to as post-disaster, referencing the Calamity War. The Calamity War refers to the interplanetary conflict between humanity and the rampant autonomous mobile armors. The war was the largest in history and took the lives of a fourth of the world's total population while destroying many cities. The war is also crucial to the story as it led to the foundation of the military peacekeeping faction Yellowhorn, which serves as the series' antagonistic faction. Despite how impactful the Calamity War was, the show does not take any time to perform any flashbacks or such to tell how significant it was. Instead, the show conveys the scale of the war through its mechanical design. Let's start with the AHAB reactors, which drive nearly all of the mobile weapon technology of the post-disaster timeline. The AHAB reactors themselves are conveyed to be powerful given that they are capable of semi-permanent energy production and are physically indestructible and are primarily used for powering mobile suits and ships. We see most mobile suits in the show powered by a single AHAB reactor, and they are already shown to be powerful weapons. This is what makes the Gundams of this show different from other mobile suits, as they are equipped with 2 reactors instead of 1. This is later proved necessary for providing a burst of power during the few opportunities available to land a clean hit on the mobile armors, the main enemies during the Calamity War. And given how rare the Gundam frames are in the post-disaster timeline, it also tells the viewers that they are difficult to produce and they were only built for this specific purpose and then forgotten after solving the problem they needed to solve. This is also what significantly differentiates this timeline's Gundams from other Gundam shows. Whereas other Gundam shows depict the Gundams as advanced models or prototypes, post-disaster's Gundams are considered ancient machines. The power difference from standard mobile suits and their rarity brings into question for the viewers as to what could possibly warrant the creation of such powerful machines. This is just the first taste of scaling the power that was witnessed in the Calamity War. Another important piece of technology associated with the Gundam frames, and therefore the Calamity War, is the Elia Vijnana system. This man-to-machine interface can offer great benefits to pilots outfitted with the surgery, and it allows pilots to bring the most out of Gundam frames. That is, if they survive the surgery. Similarly to the Gundam frames, the Elia Vijnana system is difficult to reproduce due to its low survival rate and isn't used often in the time period the show takes place in as a result. We see that the surgery grants superior control over a mobile suit along with enhanced spatial awareness and greater use of the Gundam frames. But we also see that it leads to significant health drawbacks as it can lead to paralyzation. This again makes the viewers wonder what kind of threat that was faced in the Calamity War that necessitated the use of such a dangerous adaptation. Setting up these 2 pieces of technology was important to delivering what truly demonstrated the horrors of the Calamity War, and that is the battle between Gundam Barbatos Lupus and the mobile armor Hashmal. Barbatos and Hashmal's fight is not just renowned for its excellent animation, but for its ability to truly demonstrate why the fearsome technologies like the Gundam frames and the Elia Vijnana system were needed. The fight is brutal and destructive to not just the combatants but to anything in the area around it due to the sheer power of both the mobile weapons. It showed us that beam weapons were outdated due to nanolaminate armor, It showed us how difficult it was to find a single opening against the mobile armor, thus necessitating the pair of Ahab reactors and Gundam frames to maximize the damage that can be done in the few openings. It showed us the extremely fast-paced nature of fights against mobile armors, requiring the Alaya Vijnana system to keep up with them. And even with all these technological advantages of the Gundam frame, Barbados' equipment, and Mikazuki's enhanced connection with Barbados, the fight is far from one-sided, and Mikazuki only wins by an extremely small margin. And these examples are just the most prominently present. There are many subtle artistic choices that are reflected in the designs of technologies that were indirectly affected by the Calamity War. With just the Gundams themselves, their design principles scream specialized hunters of mobile armors. Each Gundam from Iron-Blooded Orphans is unique and highly specialized despite all of them using the same frame. This significantly differs from the standardized grunt units like the Graze. It is as if each Gundam was designed to fight a specific mobile armor. This theory is even supported by the fact that Hashmal's name appears to be inspired by Hashmalim, which is one of the 10 classes of angels in Judaism. And given the themes set by the lines of Gundams and Valkyria frame lines in Iron-Blooded Orphans, it can be suspected that there are at least 10 classes of mobile armors, in which it would make sense that Gundams would be built specifically to take certain classes of mobile armors down. This is even evident in the design of Gundam Marchosius in the spin-off game Erder Hunt, which is equipped with 4 subarms, giving it a total of 6 manipulators armed with blades, mirroring the 6-armed mobile armor Hariel, which is depicted to be its nemesis in Erder Hunt. You'll also notice that the names of the Gundams are demon names from the Ars Goetia, with each known Gundam frame model number matching the demon's placement in the list of the 72 demons, which also matches the 72 Gundam frames produced during the Calamity War. Duke Barbados, for example, is the 8th listed demon, and so Gundam Barbados' serial number is ASW-G-08. Thus, you could say that the demons, or the Gundams, were built to fight the angels or the mobile armors, and it's evident in their designs as the Gundams have a demonic appearance. All of these design choices help make Iron-Blooded Orphans one of the most unique alternate timelines and loved Gundam shows in the series, and this is just one of many Gundam shows that make use of mechanical design for the world building. Let's look at another highly successful show that takes a different angle on their use of mechanical design. Witch from Mercury's timeline of Ad Stella examines the consequences of having a corporation-dominated mobile suit industry, and thus the show is centered around the school that is run by the Benneret Group, a major business conglomerate composed of space and mobile suit manufacturers. The mechanical design of Witch from Mercury reflects the dominant corporation-run world, as well as its flaws, as opposed to directly reflecting its challenges, like Iron-Blooded Orphans. The Ad Stella universe's focus on the corporations that run its mobile suit industry reflects in its variety of mobile suit designs, in which each corporation had a different mechanical designer responsible for their mobile suit designs. As a result, each of the main corporations that the show features have very different design philosophies and artistic styles. Jeturk Heavy Machinery, for example, places an emphasis on versatility and minimizing mobile suit weaknesses by incorporating countermeasures. This reflects in Jeturk's machines, designed by Epe Gyobo, as they are among the show's most well-rounded and excellent general-purpose mobile suits, as well as being very durable. Jeturk's lead mass production mobile suit, the Delanza, is well-armored without significant sacrifices to mobility, and possessing a well-balanced loadout of beam Vulcans for divisionary tactics, a beam rifle with a variety of firing modes, a beam torch for melee combat, and a shoulder-mounted shield for defense. Pale Technologies, on the other hand, places an emphasis on mobility, and their machines are renowned for both their speed and airborne capabilities. Its lead mass production mobile suit, the Zwart, has a sleeker design that also has aircraft elements, and the Zwart's description actually mentions that it was developed using aeronautics as a basis. And as a fun extra fact, the Pale Technologies mechanics were designed by Wataru Inata, who is actually known for his work on mechanical design in Armored Core, whose version of mobile suits, Armored Cores, are also known for their high mobility and ability to fight in 3 dimensions. And the Armored Core influences are clearly reflected in the design choices, such as the recessed head, a wide upper body with narrow waist, multiple thrusters mounted across the body, and the backpack-mounted heavy weaponry in the Zwart's heavy variant. Getting back on topic, the diverse mechanical designs of the various corporations' mechanics help convey how prominent the corporations are to the world. Each corporation vying for a piece of the mobile suit industry pie looks for a way to differentiate their products from other hundreds of different corporations in the same industry. The nature of the corporations normalizing their use of conflict and power to take what they want is also reflected in the designs. The mobile suits used for duels are often colorfully repainted for use by students compared to their combat-use counterparts. We even see the way that the Spatian corporations stomp on Earthians through the differences in their mobile suits. Earthhouse's only mobile suit that they have for dueling is merely a retrofitted demi-trainer. And this demi-trainer is not even the latest model of demi-trainers from Burion, showing the Earth students' financial disadvantages compared to Spatians. The difference between Earthians and Spatians is further conveyed through the designs of the mobile suits that are piloted by the Earthian-led Dawn of Fold. The Protoros is equipped entirely with physical weapons using physical ammunition, and a polearm that doesn't even have heat properties like Jeturk's physical melee weapons. The difference is even apparent in the cockpit design of the Protoros, where it is equipped with a set of smaller monitors rather than a panoramic monitor like the Spatian mobile suits. Which for Mercury's unique take on mobile suit design is part of the reason why it has been one of the most popular shows and has some of the most sought after model kits. Mobile suits from this show are memorable because of how uniquely designed they were. And we know that their corporation-based designs were so effective because viewers often recognized the corporations of mobile suits model kits that were revealed even before their anime debut. Now let's take a look at a non-Gundam example of mechanical design for world building before we head out to show that this kind of art is not exclusive to Gundam. A hidden gem in the mecha film genre, Pacific Rim is arguably one of the best live-action mecha films ever made. As a sci-fi monster film, the gigantic kaiju lie at the center of the plot as humanity's main threat. Though the war against the kaiju had been ongoing for 12 years, a majority of the film focuses on its later days. It is the designs of the Jaegers built to hunt the kaijus that tell us a lot about the fight against kaijus despite us being able to only see the ending days of the war. Let's start with the most obvious and common characteristic between the Jaeger designs, in that there is barely anything in common between any of them other than being vaguely humanoid. Each Jaeger design is vastly different from the next, with different weapons, internal hardware, armor, and even fighting styles. The lack of a standardized design template for the Jaegers demonstrates the tactical response to the wild variability in kaiju shapes. This does the plot a number of favors because it tells us how diverse the kaiju can be in design, which then increases the impact of the revelation that all the kaiju are based on the same strand of DNA. And on the topic of diversity, we also see that the Jaegers are from a wide variety of nations, along with a wide variety of pilot pairings. We see an American Jaeger with originally brother pilots, a Russian Jaeger with married pilots, a Chinese Jaeger with triplet pilots, and an Australian Jaeger with father and son pilots. The diversity in the nations demonstrates how far-reaching the kaiju threat was, and the variety of pilot pairings also tells us a lot about the kind of personal connections that make for compatible pilots. All these things subtly tell us about the 12-year-long war against the kaiju without actually walking us through all of it. It's the absence of a lot of these elements that are probably why the Jaeger designs from Pacific Rim Uprising, the sequel, somewhat flopped. National labels were dropped, all of the Jaegers became nimble, even Bracer Phoenix somehow pulls off a quick limbo mid-sprint. Wait, sprint? Notice that all the Jaegers in Uprising sprinted. We only saw a few scenes of Jaegers sprinting in Pacific Rim, but suddenly every Jaeger in Uprising can easily enter a sprint. Even the fastest Jaeger from the first movie, Striker Eureka, had to perform a wind-up to get up to speed. Notice something else about the Jaegers from Uprising? All of the comm pods look the same, with simple repaints. At least each of the Jaegers had very different comm pods in the first movie, and even different drive suits. In the first movie, you could immediately tell which Jaeger you were in based on the interior of the comm pod. But in the second movie, I actually got confused about which pilots were for Saber Athena and Guardian Bravo because the comm pods were so similar. And speaking of the pilots from Uprising were no more than teenagers attending an academy with seemingly little connections, which completely breaks the concept of the drift. This is why Uprising's Jaeger designs are far less attractive to people than they are in the first movie. So from just these three examples from Iron-Blooded Orphans, Witch from Mercury, and Pacific Rim, we can see just how useful mechanical design can be for conveying a fictional world. And these are far from the only ways that they can deliver world building. So for any writers looking for ways to get their worlds more understood, mechanical design is a very powerful way to do so. And if you're looking for more examples of mechanical design for world building, sci-fi futuristic worlds in general are very good places to look at. Other than that, that's all I have for you today. If you guys have any other good examples of world building through mechanical design, leave them in the comments below. I myself, and probably others, would be very interested in hearing about them. This has been Ledwall, and if you'd like to discuss more about effective world building and similar topics, I'm currently building a Discord community all about stuff like this. You can find the invite link in the description below. Thanks for watching, and maybe subscribe if you're interested in similar videos to this one.